The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice.
Sweaty and pissed, sweaty and pissed. Menopause makes me sweaty and pissed.
Leanne Morgan.
Karen Nickel.
Here we are again for Sweaty and Pissed, Menopause and more.
Yes, I am a comedian and a mother and a mess, and you are a brilliant
nurse practitioner and friend and caregiver for Leanne.
I thought you were going to say friend of the Smokies.
Well, I'm a friend of the Smokies too.
We are doing this from Knoxville, Tennessee.
That's right.
That we love, and we're very lucky to live here, aren't we, Karen?
Yes, it's beautiful.
It is.
A little hot today, but beautiful.
Little hot today.
So speaking of hot,
Yeah.
how are your hot flashes? You know, the last time, one of our last episodes, you were talking about how you were still hot flashing, and we changed up your hormones.
Yes.
And ...
And I'm doing wonderful.
Sweet.
I still like a fan headed right toward me, but and I've still got two beagles, that one wrapped around my armpit and one in my legs. But I started my you ratcheted up my bioidentical estrogen cream that I put on the inside of my wrist. I would not miss it for nothing.
Yep.
And it has really helped. I have not had them, knock on wood. I mean, like I have not been having the feeling like you're being microwaved, sweat out the top of your head,
Right.
beat up.
Good.
I know, praise God. And I mean, it's been 90 degrees.
Yes.
But really, hot flashes don't have anything to do with that. It can be the winter.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you beat up on and let me tell you that I've got a television deal with Sony for a half-hour sitcom, and nobody get excited. That does not mean I don't mean to be Debbie Downer because I feel hopeful, but that will be my third one. And I've been through this rodeo in Hollywood. Getting a television show on is like winning the lottery.
So many steps.
So many steps, and things can, knock it down in a second. But anyway, I was meeting with my writers. We were FaceTiming.
Yeah.
And they're darling. And they're our age, and they've written on everything you've ever watched, and they're darling. And they're a writing team that have been together for over 20 years. And they both got their own families and kids and all that. And one of them started having a hot flash, and I could tell over FaceTime that her hair, like all of a sudden, was wringing wet. We were laughing so hard because she got a piece of cardboard out of the trash and started fanning herself while we were trying to talk about stuff. So anyway, it is real, and it's a mean SOB.
Yeah.
And I was hiking at Mount LeConte this past weekend with a good friend of mine, and she's in the middle of terrible hot flashes. And she was miserable. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay right now. I'm doing great.
Don't ever say that to a hot flash.
I know. And at the top of the mountain, you can pay extra and get bottomless wine. And I said to her, and she was wanting it so bad, and she's on this wine thing, and I get it. I have been too. And I said, that red wine, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but that's going to make it worse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that big old chocolate chip blondie.
Ooh.
So sugar,
a
lot of carbs.
That'll get you a hot flashing.
Yeah, and they at the top of that mountain they make wonderful food, but it's like pot roast with
that's real home cooking stuff. Yeah,
mashed potatoes, so good. Even though she's a tiny little frail thing, but anyway, she was. I told her, I said, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but you can't drink alcohol, sugar, that makes it all worse. And I said, and if you exercise, it makes it better.
Yeah.
And I've been exercising a lot, which I know I'm sitting up here and my stomach's hanging out over my pants. But my mama's been sick, and I've had a child with health problems, and I've been in and out of hospitals, and I've been eating terrible food in a hospital and sleeping on a vinyl fold-out thing that I guess they're trying to make you leave the hospital, and they put you in one of those. But anyway,
those are backbreakers.
Oh, they're terrible. But I've been walking a lot, training for an extreme hike that I'm doing for Make-A-Wish.
Oh. Where's that going to happen?
It's September the 21st in East Tennessee in Chattanooga and Lookout Mountain, and it's 26.7 miles. And I'm going to do it in a day.
Wow.
And I'm raising money, if anybody wants to give me any money, for Make-A-Wish so a child can have a wish, a critically ill child. So my husband and my son did it last year, and I told my manager to block off everything that weekend so that I could do it this year. So I haven't trained as long as I would like to because I've had people in and out of the hospital, but I'm now like revving up for it. So you do 4 miles one day, 3 miles the next day, and do that all through the week. And then you do a long hike on the weekends to get ready for it, like you would a marathon. I know. And my husband said to me when I first signed up, he goes, "There's no way you can do this, Leanne. You're not going to make it."
I believe in you.
And my son, who is from heaven, like yours, Forrest, who produces our podcast, he said, "Of course you can, Mom. Of course you can. You'll be fine." He goes, "It is a little steep at the beginning, and then it's walking down a dirt road. So I will be fine. It's mind over matter. I'll be able to do it."
Well, will they have stations for water and such?
Yes, and I'll be able to TT in the woods, which is important to me. But yes, they'll have granola bars and water, and yes, I'll be fine. And it's a big party weekend, though. They have all this stuff to get you ready for it, and then a celebration after, and it's really fun. It's Make-A-Wish, and they do them all over the country. They do these extreme hikes for Make-A-Wish all over the country.
At different times, or are they all the same date?
No, I'm sure they're probably different times, probably in the fall. But you can look at your local Make-A-Wish, and
check it out.
I know. Isn't that fun?
That is. And you need to go on Amazon and get some Noon electrolyte tablets. N-U-U-N. N as in Nancy, U-U-N as in Nancy. They have a bunch of different types, but they have a sports tablet, that you can just drop in your water bottle.
Oh, okay.
It has really good electrolytes.
Oh, that'll be
a nice balance of electrolytes.
Oh, well, I will, you smart thing. All right, and let me tell you what else has been going on with my menopause.
Oh.
Okay, I was going through bladder leakage.
Oh, that's right, yes.
And all kinds of horrible things with that. I've been doing better with that.
Excellent.
Yes, and I do have a tiny complaint.
What?
And I don't know if it's my breast are so large that it's like, and we've talked about when people have messaged us and talked about sweating and chafing under their boobs. And I thought, oh, bless their hearts, how pitiful. Now I'm sweating and chafing under my boobs. And I've never had that before, and it is awful. And it's like my bra itches and I get uncomfortable. It is right now. And I'm constantly doing this.
Do you have an actual rash?
There is a little place on the
red?
right side that had gotten red that I think there was a little skin breakage.
Oh, really?
From sweating and doing and me scratching. And I've had a lot of people say they have that.
Yeah. Well, there are a few things that help that. One is, and it's hard this time of year when it's 90 plus degrees and 110% humidity. It's just ridiculous how hot it can be. But one thing to do is, rather than wearing a bra that goes, that the bottom goes right in the breast fold, some of those bras that are more,
have more length to them.
Yeah, they have a
band.
Yeah, they come down further.
Yeah.
What's that called? Everybody's listening to this screaming out the name. And
you mean a certain brand or a certain
I think there's
shape?
A style that has that a name for that. But anyway,
I can picture it.
Yeah, and sometimes it helps just to not have so much pressure right there. And secondly, you can do something like Tenactin powder spray that is we usually use for athletes' feet, and it's very drying, and it cuts down on yeast in the breast fold. Because it's an antifungal. So it helps keep it dry, and it cuts down yeast levels in that breast fold. And there are like wicking cloths you can purchase that are just for that you tuck in your bra.
Where do you get those?
You can get them online, and they have disposable ones, and they have reusable ones that you just throw in the wash.
What would one Google for that?
See, there I am
things. Wicked things for down there. Wonder what that is, because
I think if you Google just
sweaty boobs,
sweating and breast folds and
pleasant, sweating and breast folds and wicking. Okay, because I'm really. I mean, we're laughing, but that's really been uncomfortable, and I've itched, and then I think I've irritated it.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing is, remember we talked about that lotion from Lume?
Yes, and I bought it.
Oh, did you try it? Did you just buy it?
I tried it, and I did the stick under my boobs.
And. It didn't work?
I didn't notice a difference. Now, before I went on this hike, I bought CeraVe has a stick like a deodorant, and it's chafing, and so I ran that up under there, and that seemed like that did okay. But I think the Tenactin, if that would help with the yeast, I may have yeast up under there. I don't know, but that has been a symptom lately. But I've really tried, as far as sleep, I've tried to read at night before I go to bed. I've tried to relax more. It's hard when my husband is watching something on television, but or playing Sudoku and all the things that he does 4 things before he goes to bed. But I'm trying to. I've taken supplements that you've talked about with L-theanine, GABA, passion flower, valerian root, all of that. And I don't drink caffeine during the day. I know I'm having this Diet Coke at night. And somebody will have to knock me in the head for me to go to bed tonight. But I really try to do the things to relax. I use a little lavender and some lotion on the bottom of my feet and on my neck.
You're doing good. And
yeah, I think it helps.
Helping?
I think it helps. Of course, I'm sleeping with a man that snores, and I got 2 dogs in the bed. So I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. But if I have a fan and I blow that fan, even if I don't want it on my face, but it seems like the noise helps me and it circulates the air around.
Yeah.
Because I have to keep it on 68.
Yeah.
But it's so hot right now that sometimes I think our air conditioner, it'll say it's on 70, 71, which is like, you might as well have it on 100 in a room with a woman going through menopause. But that air seems to circulate a fan, and I think that helps me.
Yeah, just air movement.
Yes,
and sometimes just the white noise is really helpful.
Yeah, but I'm trying to exercise more by training for this thing, and I have not been drinking wine often. I've had a little bit, but not much.
Good. Even
though somebody told me about the Trader Joe's wine in a can. And let me tell you, honey, don't get hooked on that because it's good. It is good. There's a rosé. Really? Oh, there's a rosé and there's a white. And they're the cutest things in a tiny, narrow little can that looks cute to go on a boat or, be at the park. Don't even start it. It's darling and they're yummy. My neighbor gave them to me. When you have a child that's sick, people leave stuff at your door, a lot of alcohol. And I thought, canned wine, it is to die for.
Is it just one brand?
It's Trader Joe's. I think it's Trader Joe's. I don't even, look at me. I never have any information. Then I just talk out of my head, but the rosé is in a cute little pink can that you will die. It's so cute. And it comes in a 4-pack. And then the white wine is in a little turquoise. And I'm not a white wine, but, it's not my favorite, but I loved it.
So it's just like a white table wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darling, there's probably a red one. And I don't know yet. I know I'll stop by Trader Joe's after we get through. But anyway, I've really been trying, but I'm working on my food, Karen. I'm working on my food.
Yeah. It's been hard for you with being at the hospital a lot.
I know, and I wish I was one of those people that when the crisis hits, that I, am gluten-free and dairy-free and and don't eat any sugar. And I'm at hot yoga, and I've, got on little pants, but I'm not. I'm emotional. I eat my emotions.
Yeah.
I know. So anyway, I've got to do better because I'm getting to an age where, especially when you're sitting, we've said this before on an earlier podcast, but when you're sitting at the hospital and you see sick people and you realize everybody needs to be moving and talking about lifestyle and getting up and taking long walks and don't eat out and cook at home and find a way to relax and find a way, like meditate, pray, whatever it is you do that, have the spiritual side of it, de-stress, whether it's yoga or, some kind of mind, body, something, because, you see people at the hospital and.
Yeah, because, some people, obviously illness can befall anyone, even people who take good care of themselves, but you see a lot of people who haven't taken good care of themselves and really pay for it later. So, and I think it's interesting to me and ironic that a lot of times, most of the time, the food in hospitals
is the worst.
Are terrible. What is that?
I don't know, but it's pizza, grilled cheese. My little daddy will go down and I'll say, "What have you eaten?" And there's like one little section that'll have fruit that's been been cut up and it's in a little container, but and there's a salad bar, but they take that up and then late at night, or I say late at night, like after 6, it's just hamburgers, hot dogs, burritos. And I'm sure that company has come in there and done a survey, and that's what people eat.
Maybe.
But we all eat terrible things, and we've got to do better in this country. I don't look at me. I get on a soapbox, and I'm sitting up here fat as mud in this big pair of breeches. But we do need to. Our food is killing us. Yeah. And so, so my friend that we've talked about in the last 2 episodes, Sally. Sally asked you, dairy or non-dairy?
Well,
how do you feel about that?
Well, there are a few things I would say about that. Of course, some people have lactose intolerance, and lactose is the type of sugar in dairy. We're talking about milk specifically. Cow's milk. And then there is also casein, which is the protein in dairy. And some people have reactivity to the casein that's in dairy. And there are actually 4 different types of casein. So that's why some people cannot tolerate one type of dairy food and maybe not another type. So clearly, if you know there's a cause and effect in terms of when you eat dairy and symptoms that follow, that avoidance of that food would be wise, because if you're having symptoms, you're getting inflammation. And
symptoms meaning?
Well, if you have
diarrhea,
gas, bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea, or it's urgent diarrhea after the meal, that kind of thing. So, or reflux. Sometimes it'll just cause reflux, where acid comes up your esophagus. And the other thing I would say about dairy is that, of course, like that book that we talked about a couple episodes ago about how not to die, it's a plant-based diet that's recommended. So no dairy, no meat, no eggs, no fish.
Is the main thing about that, is the main thing about the hormones and things that are fed to animals that are so bad for us?
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, part of it. But in terms of just how the body functions, the argument in that book is eating to support your body in a way that it can function the best. And, we are carnivorous species, but we eat way too much meat, way more meat than we need to survive and for our bodies to function well. The other thing about it is, if you're going to consider the environmental impact of eating meat, And it is really hard on the environment to raise cows
this much meat.
and raising all these animals for us to eat is really hard on the environment. And I'm not saying what people should or shouldn't do, but it's something to definitely consider when you're trying to decide what's the best and healthiest diet for you. Is also how do we keep our planet healthy? Mm-hmm. So,
oh yeah, we've got to live here.
Yep.
Okay, what about someone said to me the other day that pork is a carcinogen. Is that how you say it?
Carcinogen.
Is that considered now?
I don't know that just pork
or pork and beef
carcinogen. I would just say that if you eat a lot of meat and pork, it's hard for your colon to digest that. So it's a stressful thing on the colon. So we see more colon cancer, for instance, in people who eat a lot of meat. So I guess sort of indirectly, it's not like, or I guess if you grill it and blacken it, that also can be carcinogenic. But I wouldn't say there's a direct cause and effect.
Well, since I've been with my mom at Vanderbilt, almost every doctor that's come in there and talked to her, they're plant-based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they all are on this plant-based. They've downloaded an app, and they tell us to download it. And they're probably looking at us thinking, y'all have eaten a lot of meat. And but I was raised on a farm, in a farming community.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of meat. But I didn't necessarily eat a lot of meat back then. But I have. Well, I don't think I'm not a big meat eater, and I like almond milk.
Yeah,
I don't need dairy even though I do like a good piece of cheese.
Yeah,
but there's an app, 21 Day Vegan. To being a vegan, and they all look at my little mom and daddy and go, you need to download this app. They don't know what an app is. But I know that they're right, and that we all ought to be eating more, majority of our diet should be plant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But all the almond milks and the creamers and all the things now, there's so much yogurt.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things you can eat and not have to eat dairy.
Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We have rice milk. We have almond milk, cashew milk. I mean, it's
cashew butter. All that nifty stuff, you know?
Yeah. So the dairy question really is mostly about if you have symptoms when you eat dairy, it's best not to eat it. If you evaluate whether a vegan diet is right for you, just sort of, like I said, from an environmental standpoint, if you're conscientious about that kind of thing, then removing dairy would be a wise thing to do. Mm-hmm. But again, if you're not eating a lot of, again, it's always a moderation thing.
Well, I tour with two other women in Country Cool Comedy Tour, and one of them lives in L.A. She's vegan. Yeah. And she hasn't had dairy cross her lips.
Yeah.
I bet 15 years or more.
Yeah.
And if she were here, she'd be like American Ninja, and she'd be jumping off that wall and doing a flip. She's got so much energy, and she sticks to it on the road. Mm-hmm. She does not eat meat. She does not eat dairy, and she finds a way, and she eats a lot of food. Mm-hmm. And she looks like a movie star and no body fat.
Well, a lot of people say they just feel better in general when they start a vegan diet. And they typically lose weight unless you're turning to a lot of carbs to avoid any meat products.
Yeah. But there's so many, like she'll stop and get a big block of Daiya cheese or like an almond cheese or something, and it is so good. Mm-hmm. But, I look at it in the in the supermarket and think, yuck. But they've got Southwestern flavor. I mean, she makes nachos with on a chip that's not made out of corn. It's made out of almond flour. I mean, she goes the whole kit and caboodle, but she really doesn't do without. I mean, she just does it in a different way.
Well, now they're developing meatless meat is a big industry. Meatless burgers that taste and look like meat.
Yeah, Impossible Burger and Beyond Meat.
And so so obviously the need and want is out there if the industry is going that direction.
Yeah, big pea protein. They use a lot of pea protein. How do you feel about that?
Pea protein's good. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. I like those products. I've had them.
Yeah.
Beyond Meat's got a crumble. I put it in a spaghetti or a.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
really
a
good.
idea.
And then I also had Capello's, I think is how you say it, made out of almond flour lasagna sheets.
Oh.
And you can make enchiladas with them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And it was very good. Yeah. So gluten free,
Yeah.
What do I know? And then I go through a Chick-fil-A and, want to cry and get a number one. So, okay, well, that was good. Dairy or non-dairy and all. And everybody wants to know what's going on under my breast. That's what's happening.
If I think of the name of those wicking things, I'll put it on the website.
Oh, yes, my darling.
And are you going to be anywhere anytime soon?
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm going to be all kinds of places, but the places where I know I'm going to be in clubs are going to be West Palm Beach, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona, San Antonio, Austin, Texas. So you can go to leannemorgan.com and more dates will be added. And then like tomorrow night I'll be in Albany. Oh, this won't even be around. Look at me. I'm not technical. But for instance, I'll be in Georgia and it's like a private event, but they let people come that have not seen me around that area. So there are things that it might be, like a fundraiser or something.
Not well advertised.
Yeah. And it's a fundraiser for, I don't know, Meals on Wheels, but Leanne Morgan's going to be there. And so if you've never seen me, come on out, honey, put on a cocktail dress and get ready for a good time. So I'm at all kinds of things like that too.
Fabulous.
Well, and you can hear me on Sirius XM and
Always.
And Dry Bar Comedy and, Facebook. And if you see a woman in an orange top with a thyroid nodule, that's me. Doing a clip. Okay. Well, good to see you, my angel.
It's great to see you. We'll see you all next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.